And again, welcome to another edition of Easy, but Not So Easy. I am Tony Reeves, and as always, it's a wonder and pleasure to have you here with me today. So I want to talk to you a little bit of what I call the easy but not so easy of leaving a hostile work environment in a noisy way. Now, let's talk about what that means. At some point, if you're lucky, hopefully you never have to experience this. But you may find yourself in what I call a hostile work environment. Now, some of it could be hostile just because in a hostile work environment is typically what happens in a situation where your employer makes it, I hate to say uncomfortable, but they basically they have a level of energy that they're giving in your work environment, whether it be giving you extra tasks, doing extra duties, reprimanding you a lot, whatever the case may be, that it becomes unbearable to be in the work environment. They're ergo hostile. Every state has a slightly different definition of it, but that's effectively what you have. So a lot of times what happens if you're in a place that I call hostile, where it's just off the chain, you may find that there's something that happens that's what I call a breaking point, and you decide that you out. Peace out. 2 fingers in the air, deuces. And so when you get ready to leave, you have 2 ways that you can leave. You can either leave what we call quietly or noisily. And you're like, well, what's the difference? Well, if you leave quietly, you give your 2 weeks notice, no fanfare, you just kind of leave on the way out the door. But there are some people out here who leave what I call noisily. I mean, you thug it out on the way out the door. No, I'm not talking about kicking over chairs or blowing up the spot. I'm talking about you basically send some jamming emails talking about I'm leaving this place. You ain't hitting on nothing. Or you send letters to individuals telling them this is what's going on. Or maybe you just go and you tell off your supervisor and says, I'm out. Meaning you have just made it very clear that you have reached that breaking point and you want to use this opportunity to let everyone know your displeasure with the hostility of this working place. And again, I'm not talking about the places when you're thugging out, you're going off and everything. I'm talking about usually in a situation like this, you're usually sending a very aggressive email, a very aggressive letter, or just basically confronting your supervisor and using this as an opportunity to air your grievances and go off about the nature of the work environment and tell people where to go and how to get there. Those are what we call noisy, because effectively what you're doing is you're leaving the work environment in such a way that you want everybody to hear when you're on your way out the door. And like I said, this is not where you yelling, screaming, or kicking over cans. This is where you're literally making your position very clear on the way out the door, how you feel about the fact that you don't like this place and how the hostility has driven you to leave this place. So for those of you who made the decision or are contemplating making the decision to leave the work environment in a noisy manner, here's the easy things, but not so easy things that you should consider. First of all, let's talk about the easy. For those of you who've made that decision, for some of you, it may be relief. And you're going to say, what do you mean by relief? Well, the reason why I say it's relief is because if you're in a hostile work environment, it usually just doesn't happen overnight. It's a building thing. It's usually little things. Maybe your supervisor is picking at your work. Maybe you're getting all these extra tasks that you normally don't have. You're getting all these assessments. You're getting shifted around all these different places. You're having people making these inappropriate jokes and saying things to you or about you that's getting you upset. You have been there so long and you've taken so much in terms of being exposed to this environment, that when you get a chance to finally be noisy, to let it out, to express your discontent, it feels like you've taken a weight off of your shoulders. So from that standpoint, it may feel like a relief. But it also it gives you the ability, secondly, it gives you the ability to communicate where you had issues. Meaning, a lot of times when you're leaving quietly and you tell people, okay, well, I'm going to leave. Thank you very much for your time. They may not know what it was that pissed you off about being in that work environment. So this is the time for you to really lay out what's up and say, okay, let me tell you what's garbage. That supervisor don't know what she's doing. This person is an idiot. This person has been sitting here doing this. It gives you the opportunity to address all the issues. Now, don't get me wrong. Your employer is probably going to look at you like you're crazy. But the fact that you've taken the opportunity to let them know about something may also be a sign that they may need to be mindful that others may feel the same way, but have not had the wherewithal to come out as loud as you are on the way out the door. So that's the other thing. So you've got the relief, communicating the issues. And then the other thing is establishing measure of respect. One of the things that I have found, and when I used to do employment law for a few years, is that most people, it comes down to a level of respect. Because people, once I had a mentor once tell me that the job environment is probably the one area that people have a unique personal connection to, meaning this is what they really are personally connected to. So why am I saying that? Well, guess what? If someone is disrespecting you in your work environment, they're making inappropriate jokes, they are, doing things that putting you in uncomfortable situations, they're giving you unnecessary evaluation, unnecessary tasks, and so forth, we tend to think of that as a disrespect. And since we think of it as a disrespect, we don't appreciate being put in that position like that. So why am I saying this? Well, if you leave noisily, you're feeling like you've been disrespected for such a long period of time. This is your way to establish or reset to say, okay, I am reclaiming this disrespect that you had on me. So for those of you who are thinking the easy way out, the easy parts of this, it's the relief, it's communicating the issues, and it's establishing the respect. That is the easy way. But let me tell you about the not so easy parts or the not so easy way of this as well. First of all, you got to think about the human resource aspect of it. Depending on how you communicate on the way out, you may be putting yourself in a situation where human resource may take the need to have you removed from the premises as a result of that. Think about how crazy that is. I've seen that happen. I've had friends of mine who are in management tell me about that. I haven't seen it happen in real time, but it's amazing. I can only imagine a situation. Imagine a situation where you're building up to be noisy. They know that you have that ability. Think about you're sitting here and you're ready to just go all out, and all of a sudden somebody comes to your desk with security saying, here's your box. We'll clean your stuff up. You need to get off here. We'll send the rest of your stuff to you. That means HR has made the determination that we need to preemptively take advantage of the fact that we know you have the ability to do this. Let us deal with this in the beginning so that this way this is not a problem. So that's what first thing you need to do. Second of all, reputation. This is not trying to be funny, because when you leave noisily, that follows you. That's a part of your reputation. Now, don't get me wrong, and this goes kind of to the reference point, which is the third point, but let me just talk about this for a while. If you left noisily, okay, and you have another employer reach out to this employer, and they're like, hey, what can you say about this person? They worked here. That tells that other employer, ooh, they left in a funky situation. Now, the funky situation could be a result of the employer, but the funky situation could also be the result of you. And so you have to be mindful of the fact that your reputation and how people view it, that's how people are going to view you on the way out the door. Again, like I told you before, you ain't got to thug out and so forth, but if you leave in a particular way where there's some heat, that's how they're going to see you. Which then brings me to my last point, the reference. If you are a person who has been in a particular environment for a long period of time, you're going to want to hopefully be able to utilize them as a reference. Well, guess what? You may struggle trying to find someone who will be willing to speak upon you being there. And depending on your circumstances, that might make you finding the job tougher. Because imagine if you've been in a job for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and you can't even use them as a reference. Well, let me rephrase that. You can use them as a reference, but when they give that reference, they'll give what I call it's what we call a neutral reference. And I've shared this with people. I'm saying, I hate to say it, but neutral references are almost as bad references. Well, why is that? Because if you've been there 5 years and all they can say is you worked there 5 years, that means they can't say anything nice about you. Not saying that they want to say something nasty about you, but that also may mean that even though you were there for a positive period of time, there's something that happened that resulted in them knowing that they can only communicate this much, is that, yes, you worked there. Would you be eligible for rehire? No. And that tells them a lot. So why am I sharing all this with you in the grander scheme? It's because I want you to be aware of one fundamental fact. If you're in an environment that is completely hostile, you may find it that you may want to leave in a particular way that sends a tone of, y'all got me, but I'm going to get you on the way out the door. Take a step back, take a breath, and ask yourself, is the short-term benefit or satisfaction you get from going out like that going to be worth the potential long-term harm to your ability and your references and reputation? So weigh those two things beforehand so that you know and you can tell yourself what is the most effective way to leave the job in a manner that's going to ensure that your professional well-being remains intact. All right, everyone. Again, as always, this is another edition from your boy at Easy But Not So Easy. This is Tony Reeves, and as always, I have to end my show telling you that you can find me on AnthonyReeves.com. And as always, I have to end the show with a question. Are you ready for the Anthony Reeves experience?